Alright, here's the patient, and I'm going to start, here's under the hood right now, and here's a little shot of the dashboard all taken apart. Let me move some light in here so you can see. There's the driver's steering wheel, and a little bit inside here. This is kind of things apart right now, and what I'm going to do is start at the very end, begin with the end in mind. Well, I'm beginning with the end in mind, alright. I'm starting in the deepest recess of this job, and the job is changing the dashboard lights, instrument panel lights, because I had some to burn out. So let's take a look here. Parts everywhere. There's the patient, and so this is as far in as I've gone. So instead of starting at the beginning to get this far, I'm going to start at the very end and work my way back to the beginning. So this is a 94, I take that back, it's a 1993 Ford Escort LX station wagon. And the first thing I'm going to do is just kind of show you the loose parts of the instrument panel, and we'll start reassembling all of this stuff. What I had to do was to change the light bulbs, and I'll give you a peek see at the light bulbs of the instrument panel. This cluster, it's going to look like this when everything gets put back together, and the lights that illuminate the instrument panel during the nighttime, once I remove these instruments, are showing right here. Let me get something to point with. Okay, I'll point with this pen. This is one light. This is another light. Let's see, the speedometer goes into that hole. Then I think the hot and cold water temperature instrument cluster goes there. This is another instrument panel light and another instrument panel light. And I had 3 of these that were burned out. The only one that was still operating was this one. This was burned out, this was burned out, and that was burned out. So driving at night was actually required a flashlight in order to see that particular lens as to whether or not I was overheating. Okay, now there are other lights on the instrument panel, and I'll point those out to you. These are idiot lights that flash on depending on what kind of an emergency you might have. For example, you might have low brake fluid or a brake problem, and the warning brake indicator light might flash. Or let's see, all of the you might lose your oil pressure, and another one of these lights would flash on. Well, these lights are recessed in these little square barrels. I'll point to 1, 2, 3. At the bottom of each of those barrels is an idiot light or a flasher light. There's one there, there's one there, there's one there, there's one there, there's one there. Then moving on down, there's one here, a vacant socket, a light here, a light here, and a light here. They're things like, I think they indicate things like your seat belt is not attached, maybe you have low oil pressure, an overheating situation, things of that sort. The 2 up here, down in the barrel, this is a left turn signal flashing light, and this is a right turn signal flashing light. That when you flip up the activator for the right turn signal, for example, then that light right there will start flashing on and off, and it shows up on the instrument panel as this little arrow flashing on and off, as opposed to the left-hand turn signal, which is that little arrow that would flash on and off. So that's kind of a peek into the inside. Now I'm going to turn this thing upside down. this would be the part once installed would be facing the engine. And each of these lights has a little twist socket. I'm going to point to one. Let's see. Here's one right here, a little twist socket. And I'm going to twist that and take out the light so you can see what that looks like. That twists, then it just pulls right out, and there's the bulb. And to replace it, you would do this. Pinch the socket in your hand and just pull the two apart, just like that. And the little bulb, about $2 for that bulb, just pushes right into its socket. Just like that. And I always wipe off the fingerprints. So I take a little rag and just wipe off the fingerprints. Make sure there's no corrosion around the electrical contacts. And then there's the bulb in its socket. There's the place where it goes. And I just drop it in and give it a little twist. Oops, that's upside down. Drop it in that way. And give it a little twist. And there it's in. Now see how these are lining up? All of these little things are all lining up the same direction all the way around. So that's what the back side looks like. I've replaced this one, this bulb, the bulb behind this socket, the bulb behind this socket. I went ahead and did all four, even though only 3 were actually burned out. So I went ahead and replaced all 4 and just left these alone. I'll replace those once they finally fail. So now I'm going to flip it over and start installing the instrument gauges on this. Let's see if I can set my camera somewhere. Orientation. Kind of an opened up section here, but there are 3 wire harnesses, and the wire harnesses look like that I need to connect. One looks like this, and the way you disconnect it is by pressing that little tab down, squeezing it down like so, and just pulling it out. So to put it back in, we just push it in until it clicks. The second harness is this one. This is connected in the middle of the instrument panel, and it too has a, let's see if I can get a little better light up here, a little tab you can press. Right there, you press on that tab, and it disconnects, and then to put it back on you just push it on until you hear it click, until you hear that little snapping locking device click. The third of the electrical connections is over here on the right. Looks a lot like the one on the left. That little tab presses down to release, and so you would press it down and pull it out, and then to attach it again just slide it on its spot until you hear it click, and then you've got a good connection. This last item is the speedometer cable, and this is a really interesting thing to take a look at now. In order to get the instrument panel out, I needed slack in the speedometer cable. So I disconnected it at the transmission. This cable runs all the way through the firewall down into the engine compartment.
Cracker crispy or light and flaky?
Doesn't matter.
Pick one.
Light and flaky. And it's loose at the other end so that I can just slide this down or pull it out. Right now I can actually pull the other end all the way up through the firewall here if I wanted to, but I also need to show you how this locking mechanism works at the at this end. This is the terminating fitting that locks onto the instrument panel. Speedometer. The speedometer, which is a part of the instrument panel. Let me get a good light on this so that you can see how this operates. It's quite tricky. It's all hidden, so you kind of have to know how this works in order to get it to release properly. I'm going to turn that a little bit to the side so you can see what the clip looks like. That's the kind of the fitting and the clip. The process for releasing the connection is to locate on these tabs. There's a kind of a tab here and a tab here where my thumb's tapping. Tab here where my index finger is tapping, and a tab here where my thumb is tapping. If you look carefully, the tab where my thumb is tapping has little striations. You see those little grooves right at the end there? Okay, that indicates that this is the side that we need to press on to release a little locking tab. So your cue is those little striations, those little flutings there, because that tells you that it's this side of the tab and not that side of the tab that you want to press with your thumb to release the locking mechanism. Now let me show you how this locking mechanism works. You've got this plastic thing, which is part of a piece of hardware that has a locking tab on it that's hidden inside the barrel, and this is the barrel. And now let's look down inside the barrel. Now we can see a little bit better. The fluted side of the U-shaped plastic clip is where my thumb is. See the against the white glove there, you see those little striations? That's the fluted side, and